Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Navaid, and I'll be talking to you regarding aviation security and something about risk management, risk mitigation. A little introduction about myself. I've served in the Army for 23 years. I've been Director of Operation Airport Security Force for 5 years, and I got retired in 2018. And since then, I've conducted around 9 ICAO aviation security courses abroad. I'm qualified aviation security instructor. I'm also an aviation security professional manager from ICAO, and the courses I've done is on the screen. I've also written an article for the security magazine, and I've also been a guest speaker and a keynote speaker in an international forum a couple of times. Coming over to aviation security, it is the combination of measures by human and material resources intended to safeguard international civil aviation against acts of unlawful interference. So what do we mean by that? That if an airport in Pakistan and airport which are there in the global world, they are connected with each other. So what all measures we take in Pakistan, it has a direct impact on the airports on the other hand. So the main aim is to make sure that all the humans, may it be passenger, may it be staff, may it be the functionaries, may it be the airline crew, may it be the ground handling staff, and the material resources which are required to make sure that the safety is intact. And why we're doing that? So that we ensure that international civil aviation is safe or is safeguarded against all the unlawful interference by terrorists. So with this thing in mind, if we go through the aviation security challenges, what are the challenges we are facing now? Domestically and globally, that we are facing greatest terrorist capabilities. The terrorists, in the modern world are always one step ahead of us. So we have to be having a proactive approach and keep on reforming, keep on updating our procedures to make sure that we counter this capability of the terrorist. Increasing criminal activities, that is theft at the airport, the burglaries, the robberies, the kidnapping. So we have to have a watchful eye on that also. Coming over to security, structural security weaknesses. These are basically in terms of economic deficiency which we have. So we have to make sure that what all resources are with us are utilized to the optimum, so that the structural security weaknesses are overcome by the human resource management. Again, technological shortcomings. The aviation industry is it's a big format, it's a big ambit. We have to make sure that what all is there within our economic resources, we make all the things available for the security. Although we cannot, match because of the economic resources with the technology which the other countries are having, the developed countries are having. But alhamdulillah, what we have is sufficient to make sure that the airports are safeguarded. So what are the threats which are there? When you work for the security in terms of aviation security, we have to keep in mind, we have to work on all the possible threats which are there. It may not be affecting you, but we have to make sure that we work and we have the idea, we have the contingency plans for all the possible threats. So in terms of Pakistan, or in terms of global scenario, these are the threats which are there, possible threats which are there for the aviation industry. The attack on civil aviation installation, weather explosion, and that will be through placement of IED or through an hijacking. Attack on VVIP, drone attack, which is very much there nowadays. Disturbed surrounding areas, use of aircraft as a weapon of mass destruction, 911 is the classic example of this. Rocket attack from outside, car bomb to the terminal building, hostage situation, suicidal attack, and hijack. So these are the possible threat scenarios which are there, and based on this, we have to make our own plans to counter all these threats. So coming over to the concept of aviation security, every state, every country has its own aviation security policy, and that is based on the risk assessment, threat analysis of that particular state. So what all threat analysis, what all risk assessment we carry out for Pakistan, based on that, this concept of security is adopted. That is based on visible deterrence, layered security, and multiple checks. And why we do that? So that we preempt and counter the threats posed to civil aviation industry, which is ensured by all available resources in terms of man and material. When you go to the airport in Pakistan, the moment you enter into the from the first entrance of the airport, you see an airport security people standing, checking the vehicles, checking the passengers, checking the meter and greeters, and as they go towards the aircraft, there are multiple layered security checks in place. Maybe when you're getting into the terminal building, when they're carrying out the complete hold baggage and hand baggage inspection. Then there's another check at the when you're going into the lounge, your complete hand baggage is checked. So, and then when you're getting into the aircraft, your boarding pass is checked. So there are multiple checks, and that is all based on our threat assessment and risk analysis conducted by the relevant agencies, all the stakeholders. So we are formulating this concept of aviation security in Pakistan. So what are the industry countermeasures? These are the measures which are taken globally. For example, legislative, these are the countermeasures which are in terms of conventions, which are taken at the UN level, at the global level. And based on that, and why we do this thing, any aircraft which is moving from Pakistan to another country, as I've already told you, has a direct impact on its security. So to have a uniform policy that all the states, they agree to a particular convention, that okay, by this convention we have these rules we have to follow. So they agree on it and then they follow it. So these are the legislative industry countermeasures which are in the shape of conventions. That is Chicago Convention. That will be taught to you in detail in the workshops and the upcoming workshop. And based on that, there are technical countermeasures, and these are prepared by ICAO, and the individual state. ICAO prepares the security manuals and the annexures for the security, and then the rest of the states, taking guidelines from that, they prepare their own SOPs, their own security programs. And based on that security program, which the state have prepared for their own respective airports, they have certain physical action, then what they all do on ground. So it is all sequentially linked up from the top, that is the global, then the documentation, the manual for the guidance, and then the physical security at the grassroots level. So what is the state's responsibility? As per the UN Convention and the ICAO manuals, the conventions, the international standards are the recommended practices, which is there in the ICAO manuals, and procedures which are prepared and made by the individual states, and these needs to be translated and incorporated into specific national legislation to establish legal authority and legitimacy. And why we do that? Because anything which has to be enforced as a procedure, it has to have a legal cover, and that has to be done by the state itself. So whatever procedures you see at the airport, whatever processes you see at the airport, security measures you see at the airport, is basically due to all the detailed process, that is the following of adopting the conventions, then following the manuals in terms of international standards and recommended practices, procedures, and then they have been transformed into the National Civil Aviation Security Program, and then it is disseminated to the respective airports, and then based on that, when it is approved by the government, it has the legal authority, so it can be implemented as a law. What is the risk? The probability of an act of unlawful interference being successfully carried out on a specific target based on an assessment of threat, consequences, and vulnerability. This subject itself is a huge subject. Whatever steps we take, whatever measures we take, is based on the risk. That what is the risk which we feel in our country is affecting our complete operation. And there's a complete procedure in which we carry out the assessment of threat, that what all possible threat in the previous slide, which I've shown you regarding all the possible threat, and it is based on each and every single airport. For example, in Pakistan, we have 42 airports, but presently there are only 24 which are operational. So based on those 24 airports, we have to carry out the assessment of threat, that every airport has different threat. It is not that one size fits for all. Every airport has to have, because of what? Because of their flight operation, because of their geographical location, because of their infrastructure. It is different from different airport. And based on that threat, what all can be the consequences? If we have if we have threat of a suicide attack, what can be the consequences? What can be the impact of those threats? So we have to carry out the assessment of the threat and the assessment consequences also. And when we are done with that, we have to see what are the vulnerabilities. And from where we can find the vulnerabilities is the measures which are already in place, the security procedures which are already in place at a particular airport. We carry out inspections, we carry out assessment, and see the loopholes or the shortcomings. And when we carry out the shortcomings, those are known as the vulnerabilities. So this is complete big picture which comes as a risk. So it will be taught in detail how to carry out and what all procedure will be there, what all the matrix are there which we have to follow, and it all based on the the conventions and the security manuals from the United Nations and the ICAO and your own national civil aviation security program. So it's itself in a complete big subject which will be there in the coming workshops. So this mitigation, when we come to know that, okay, after carrying out the threat analysis, after carrying out the vulnerabilities, the consequences, we come to a point where we have to make sure that how that risk is to be mitigated. And what is the definition of mitigation? It is, in a security context, to mitigate is to reduce the probability of a scenario occurring or to reduce the adverse consequence if it does occur. Mitigation means that, if we say that, okay, there is a threat or there's a risk, we have completely has been taken care of. So it's not there. It's not possible. You can always reduce the probability of a threat or a risk, but you cannot completely delete it. So it has to be there. It has to be kept in mind that yes, we have taken care of it, but we should not just keep it aside. We should keep on making new advancement. We should keep on making progress. We should keep on making understanding if that risk is still there or it has been mitigated, reduced to a certain level where it is. If that thing happens, we are able to make sure we are able to counter that risk. Coming over to the workshops or the handouts, there'll be 4 workshops in coming days if you are willing to, apply for that. The first is the introduction of aviation industry. It is for 2 days, and what all is required, or what all is the objectives are, is to you must be having the handouts, basic concept regarding the general information and understanding of International Aviation Organization. There are different organizations which are working globally for the aviation industry. There will be some introduction about that, and they're working. Then there are certain terminologies which it has to be you have to be understood. You have to understood regarding those terminologies which are used in the aviation security. And then what all the threats in detail, industry-wise, at the global level and at local level. And then there will be certain things about the hijacking of the history of the hijacking which has have occurred, which has based on which there are certain conventions, certain policies have been enhanced at the global level. Then there will be a 3-day workshop for the aviation security. That is for the intermediate level. And in this, you will be taught, you'll be familiarized with the principles of aviation security along with the aviation security concepts which are being adopted in Pakistan in detail, how it works, and then what are the measures which are required to be taken at the airports globally and in Pakistan, and how these should be implemented. You have the procedures, but there are certain ways and means and certain procedures which are there to make sure they are implemented properly. Understanding about the procedure, then what all procedure we are following in Pakistan, and in comparison with the procedure which are being adopted at the global level. Then is the aviation security quality control measure, which is a very important subject. This is basically it tells you regarding the risk mitigation, what all measures are there being followed regularly and without any negligence. So there are certain. So it has to. That's how we can carry out the security audit inspection, and who are authorized to conduct it and how it has to be conducted. Then there will be certain methodologies regarding the behavior analysis, which is a very important subject in the recent scenarios. That without having behavioral detection officers, there are certain people who can hoodwink you and pass through the security. So behavioral analysis is the most important subject in the present scenario, where you can judge, where you can learn the body language of a passenger, and you can make things out that how he's behaving as per his behavior. And then promotion of security culture as a culture amongst the stakeholders. Security is definitely responsibility of a security force, but all the people working at the airport, they can also play as eyes and ears for that security organization, and it is their duty to ensure that all happening at the airport, if they find something abnormal, is reported to the concerned agency. There is the capacity building measures. This is basically to understand the importance of leadership and professionalism, and to make positive and to have a positive attitude in an organization which is required to safeguard the most important borders that are the airports. So these are the 4 workshops which will be available, which is for you all, and I'm sure we'll have a good audience because this is a very interesting and challenging subject. And what these 4 workshops, what benefit you'll be having? You have the prospective job facility. You can, based on these knowledge, you can apply for Civil Aviation Authority. You'll be having an edge on the other students or other participants who have not gone through all this thing. ASF, airlines, ground handling services, international organizations. So these are the organization which if you apply for these organizations, you have a better edge. You'll be having all these things will be added in your CV. So it'll be a good prospective job seeking facility, or to prove yourself.
If I may interject, there are a few questions that some of the students are asking.
Sure.
One question is, do you think current scenario has brought a new dimension in aviation security? What measures could be taken in such an unforeseen event?
So you were distorted. Can you repeat the question, sir, please?
Yeah, I'll repeat it. Do you think current scenario has brought a new dimension in aviation security? What measures could be taken in such unforeseen events?
If the current scenario means the COVID-19.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. It is in terms of aviation security, this does not directly impact the industry. Yes, in terms of aviation safety, it does have impact. And based on that, there are certain measures which are being adopted presently, which with the limited flights being operated globally. So we have to enhance that capacity and to make sure that because of this scenario or this pandemic, the the, uh, the the mode of transport, which is through air, is not restricted. And then in Pakistan, yes, we have to take certain safety measures to make sure that whichever a person traveling from abroad is coming to Pakistan is checked physically, and the way they are being screened for the all the possible. Yep. So,
There's another question also.
sure.
Then, from a job perspective,
Sure.
what are the current opportunities and future prospects of aviation security in Pakistan, AVSEC? We are just catching up with the world in this field of AVSEC.
Okay. In Pakistan, there are the top four: the Civil Aviation Authority, ASF, Airline and Ground Landing Services. These are basically from Pakistan. What I'm suggesting is that if you are you have the knowledge which the Aviation Institute of Management is prepared to give it to you, you'll be having an edge to apply for all these agencies, and you'll have a better chance of getting the job as compared to the people who have not gone through all these workshops. Because whenever they'll ask question, you'll be, for yourself, for your personal grooming, as well as for the job description, you'll have a better edge. And how to apply it for Civil Aviation Authority and ASF, it is through a direct recruitment also, and through FPSC also. So you can always apply. And because I've served in ASF for 5 years, I know anybody who's having a better edge or better understanding of aviation security, he has the better chance of selection. Sure.
Okay.